Hello everyone, I was wanting to talk about my rifle build and what I chose to go in it and why, what I chose to use and why. This is the completed rifle as it sits right now. Can hardly get it in frame, but I'd like to explain some things that a lot of YouTubers either don't know or haven't mentioned as of yet. I'll just describe what I used in this build and then I'll tell you why you should choose these if you're looking for an accurate rifle. So let's start with the action. The action is a Defiance Deviant with a Kreiger 30 cal barrel screwed into it. The chassis is a MPA ESR. ESR is Extreme Sniper Rifle. It's fore end's a little bit longer on the ESR than the BR comp. The trigger is a Tech Diamon single stage trigger. The optic is a Vortex Razor Gen3 6-36 by 56. Lots of zoom on that. What sold me on it was the zeroing process and the zero stop that the scope has. For instance, this is your zeroing adjustment. You leave your turrets on 0 and you have infinite adjustment to fine tune that point of impact to match your crosshairs. Very nice feature. And then you have your zero stops on your elevation and windage, which you can't see. BI-Pod, I used a Accu Tac. I like the sturdiness of the Accu Tac. There are better BI-Pods out there, but I like this one. And for muzzle brake, went with the Area 419 Hellfire, reduce that recoil. So what you want for an accurate long-range rifle is a rigid, everything trued up to the center line of bore receiver. So your barrel's trued up, center line of the bore, your headspace is within 0.02, and your receiver is super rigid. The way you get a rigid receiver is everything is one piece. You have no attachments screwed into the receiver, so you have a recoil lug that is one piece to the receiver, and you have a scope mount that is one piece to the receiver. It's not a separate piece. So when you cut down the separate pieces, you add rigidity to the receiver. And the next thing you want to do for accuracy is you want to suck everything up to the minimal amount. So you want to allow enough space for the gun to operate. So you want the bolt face to be 2 thou from your counter bore, and you want your headspace to be 2 thou. That's saying that the back of the case has 0.02 of an inch from the breech face. You obtain that by working on the lathe when you're spinning the barrel. When you're cutting the chamber, you only cut the chamber deep enough to where a go gauge will go, and then you put a piece of tape on the go gauge and it won't go. Meaning that with a go gauge with a piece of tape on the back of it, the bolt will not shut all the way. But it will shut with just the go gauge. And then you can measure the piece of tape after trying to close the bolt, and it'll tell you how much headspace you have. Sammy will tell you how much headspace is acceptable. Usually it's around 40 thou, and that's what you'll see from manufacturers, is close to that. If you're doing a custom rifle with a good gunsmith, you'll find that your groups will get smaller because your headspace is within 2 thou. So when you're looking for a receiver to do a rifle build on, you don't have to go with the Defiance, but what you need to look for is one piece receivers. preferably cut on EDM. I don't know if Defiance uses EDM to cut their bolt raceways, but EDM is going to be super accurate. But as long as you find a receiver that has the scope mount and the recoil lug as part of that single piece of metal, you're going to have a super rigid receiver, which is what you want. Then for accuracy, when machining the barrel, it has to do with setting the barrel up in the lathe correctly to reduce your run out, and that ensures that you're lining everything up to the center line of bore. So you have no control of what Defiance or whatever receiver manufacturer did to keep everything in the center line of the receiver, but you can control what you do to the barrel if you're turning the barrel yourself, and that's taking out the run out when you're in your setup process. I went with 30 cal just because this rifle is extremely expensive and I wanted it to last a long time, so the barrel life will be acceptable with the 308. Whereas with the 6mm, those are barrel burners. 1,000 rounds right around there, you're going to burn your barrel out and need to rebarrel it. I wanted this one to last a little bit before I got it back on the lathe. Granted, the receiver and the scope and the chassis will last longer than the barrel will. But that is what I was thinking of when I built this rifle. I also went with a single stage trigger. That's personal preference. I don't really understand wanting to use a 2-stage. You need to have a little take up before you break. Now I want that shot to break immediately when I'm putting pressure on the trigger. I don't understand people that like the 2-stage, but yeah, personal preference. I also wanted to, this will be a jewel in the future. A jewel wasn't available, so I went with the Trigger Tech. Adjustment is decent. It's a decent trigger. It's nice and crisp. I just think the jewels are much better. This Area 419 brake I went with is very cool because it's self-timing, which is awesome. It makes things a little easier. It has left-hand threads on the adapter that's screwed onto the barrel. The barrel has 5/8 by 24 threading done on it and a crown, which I'll show you here in a second. But yeah, this brake is awesome. The reduced recoil felt is very good. Helps me keep that muzzle down. And I really like that it uses an adapter with left-hand threads to mount it, and the self-timing is really sweet. Makes things a lot easier than just using. I don't like using shims. I rather time the shoulder to the muzzle brake. That's definitely gonna add some cost to whoever wants that done. Shims are kind of a cheap way of doing that, but Area 419 came up with a self-timing brake, which is really neat. Let's see if I can get this off. So that's the adapter that threads onto the barrel. Have 5/8 by 24 threads there, and you just use a 5/8 wrench that they got flats here. So they did a really good job with this adapter as well. And then your brake screws to that left-hand threads, and it's a self-timing mechanism in here. So looking at the crown, see if we can get a look at the crown. I'm very happy with how it came out. The adapter doubles as a crown protector as well, even though there's a step there. Very neat, very neat. Very happy with the Area 419 on that. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more.